Pashas HaShavua, Pashas Shmois. I'd like to say a few words in English. On this week's Parsha we say that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe Nafshoi, V'shel Klal Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu davened, L'malem v'derech hateva, for everyone. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu daven? What made Moshe Rabbeinu daven? We see in the Medrash that Moshe Rabbeinu was running after a sheep, and he lifted up the sheep. He put the sheep on his shoulder, and he told the sheep, "Why? If I would have known you need water, I would have brought water to you." So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, "You are Moshe Nafshoi, because of a sheep, of a goat. You mat'im lecha. It's ro'oi for you to be a manik of Klal Yisrael." That someone who degrades himself for the lower people. You see someone low. I know some rebbes in Cheder, they always want to be rebbes of Kita Aleph, of grade 1. Always. The last 20 years, 30 years. Grade 1, Kita Aleph, they're the rebbes. Beis Gimel Dalet, something else. They want to be the nursery teachers. They want to lift up the child, an holy child, from the age of babies and lift him up. From diapers to lift him up, make him straight, holy, kodosh v'toy. Moshe Rabbeinu took the goat, lifted him up and gave him water. David HaMelech, he let out the young sheep, then the old sheep to eat the grass. He said, I can't let the old sheep out before the young sheep. Young sheep don't have teeth. Let the young ones come out, eat the grass, then the older ones can come out also. When a person says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu to David HaMelech, well, you are Moshe Nefesh, because of the sheep. You are Moshe Nefesh, because of the Klal of what we see in the nation. You deserve to be a manik. That's what we see over here. HaKadosh Baruch Hu checks out the people through the tzoin. But David, he checked him out, that he gave out the young sheep the grass, and the older ones checked out. And David HaMelech, that was David HaMelech, and Moshe Rabbeinu also HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, when Moshe Rabbeinu saw, when Moshe Rabbeinu, Kishoy Moshe Rabbeinu royet soinu shal Yisro b'midbar, a goat ran away, and he lifted him up, and he said, "Why? You needed water. If I would have known, I would have brought water to you." HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you think of the low people, you deserve to be a manhig. It's very easy to go through life and only think of the older nation. A person can think, someone is in grade 1, 2, 3, Kita Aleph, Beis Gimel, what's that got to do with me? I'm already in university, I'm already in Yeshiva Doila. It doesn't interest me. The Stipler always says, when people think of the young people think of the younger people, of the lower people, you go into the shoes, you help them, you look after them, you give them what they need. Who knows that maybe later on in your life you only helped because you helped the younger people. We see Rav Preda had a Talmud where the Talmud only understood after Rav Preda learned with him 400 times. Let's say, for example, a person mustn't take a sponge and clean in the kitchen where he puts down the dishes. He mustn't take a sponge on Shabbos, because if he takes a sponge, he'll come to squeeze. Is the Issa Daraisa or squeezing on Shabbos. For example, I'm just telling you an example. Let's say Rav Preda explained this to his Talmud once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 20, 30, 100 times, 200 times. Didn't understand. 200 times. You mustn't use a sponge on Shabbos, because if you use a sponge, you come to squeeze it, and you're over on Libun, you're over on Schita. Okay, so you mustn't do it on Shabbos. 350 times, he didn't understand it. 399 times, he didn't understand it. After 400 times, the Rebbe said, yeah, I understand. If you use the sponge on Shabbos, you come to Schita. How long did it take Rav Preda to teach him 400 times? A half a day? 2 hours? 3 hours? After he did that, the story goes like this. The Gemara says in Eivind of Nun Gimel Omer Beis, once Rav Preda was going on to a Dvar Mitzvah, and the Talmud told Rebbe, I want to ask you something. Rav Preda told the Talmud, I'm going to Dvar Mitzvah. So the Talmud told our people, but just I want to ask you something pshat, which we learned over here. Rav Preda told him 400 times the pshat until it went into his mind. After 400 times, Rav Preda asked the Talmud, you understand? You understand? I told you 400 times. So the Talmud says, no, I don't understand. I thought that every minute you're going to be become this Dvar Mitzvah, so I wasn't thinking properly what you told me. Rav Preda said another 400 times the halacha, the inyan, what he was talking about. The Baskol came out from Shamayim and said, Rav Preda, do you want to live another 400 years? 400 years? Or do you want your whole generation to be Zoicha L'chaye your oilam abo? Rav Preda said, I want my whole generation to get Chaye oilam abo. Baskol Yotze Otpam, and he says, Rav Preda, you live another 400 years, and the whole generation, with you included, will be Zoicha L'chaye oilam abo. Why? Because Rav Preda was Moise Nefesh of the Talmud. Someone else would have told Rav Preda, you have a Talmud like this, give the child to take some tablets, put him into a mental home, and leave him alone. Build a yeshiva, your big old yeshiva, 1,000 bochim, what do you need a little Talmud for? Rav Preda said, no, if this Talmud came to me, mashma, he needs me, and I've got koiches to teach him and lift him up. From here we see how much a person is mechuyev to think about the lower people. Lower people doesn't mean someone who's low, who's in Kita Aleph, who's in grade 1. Even someone which needs his help. Like the Posik said, Yosem v'amono loisa anun. Lav davka yosoim. Lav davka yosoim. It could be even someone which is a bechino of a yosem, he cannot help himself. And you go up to him, you help him, you stand next to him, you mechazik him, you give him a good word. You think to him. You have feelings for him. You take the person into your heart. You call him up and you say, Rabid, Rochel, Leah, the mother, the daughters, any friends, how can I help you? You're going through a hard time. You've got a chassid tomorrow night. You need any help. You're going through a bar mitzvah next week. How can I help you? You make your bris, Baruch Hashem. Who's looking after you? Who's cooking food in your house? Who's doing the laundry? Go into the person's feet. Go into the person's shoes. Look up to him. Help him. Be mechazik him. You look up. You go together with him. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, why? You go with him. I'll go with you. It's all mido kenega mido. That's what Rabbi Yonasan Abishit says. Rabbi Yonasan Abishit says, if we go with the other person, we look with the other person, we help him, we daven for him, we mechazik him, we do what we can for him. Even though we can't help him with money, but at least the other person should know, my next door neighbor worries about me. He didn't come to shul the last 3 weeks. Why? Why didn't he come to shul? He calls him up. He says, Rabbi, I didn't see you shul the last few weeks. Yeah, my wife's not well in hospital. How can I help you in any way? I don't want to trouble you, but it's so kind of you for calling me up. Yet you think about me. When we think about the other person, go into the person's feet, even though we can't help him. So the person has to lift up a whole suitcase. 2 people lift it up is easier than if one person lifts it up. We all go through life, each person with his own pekel on his back. We think about him. We come towards him. We call him up. We tell him, Moshe, Yaakov, Yochanan, how can I help you? Is there any way I can help you? If I can't help you with cooking, can I help you look after your kids? Maybe I can help you with money. Maybe I can do something for you. Maybe I can come and visit you and sit next to you and talk to you. Be mechazik you. Take him out of his matzah, his in. Ma'u rachum, ma'fata rachum, that's Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was in the palace of Paroi. Moshe Rabbeinu came downstairs, went into the garden, went into the yard, helped the Am Yisrael. He helped with them. He lifted up the cement, lifted up the bricks, lifted up the sand, lifted up the water. I want to help you, even though I'm in the palace of Paroi, but Am Yisrael is my brothers. We all one family. Kol Yisrael arevim zeh b'zeh. And Yonatan Eibschutz brings down, you think about Yena, you think about the other person. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'll think about you. I'll help you. I'll help you in every way. But if you close the blinds and you close the curtains and you say, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says also, I'll leave you alone. But if we go with the other person, we think about him, we daven for him. Even though we can't help it, we tell him, what's your mother's name? What's your daughter's name? Let me daven for her. Let me think for her. Let me visit her. Let me visit you. Let me help you. You think about the other person. Why? Hashem says, you think about the other person. For you, Magi Lecha, you get Ruach HaKodesh. That's what we see in the Novi. We see in Melochim. We see in Yaakov when he brings it down. That the people got Kedusha and Tai and Simcha and Ruach HaKodesh by thinking about the other person, by thinking positive about the other person. He doesn't come to shul. Why doesn't he come to shul? He doesn't come to the yeshiva. Why doesn't he come? What happened to him? He's missing. Why doesn't he answer the phone? Let's go knock on his door, find out what's going on over here. Rebbe Akiva ran after the person in the midway. He saw him running around the hill with a big thing on his back. He asked him, who are you? The person said he died already, but he's running after him. How can I help you? If he left a child and he says Kaddish and he says Bochu, Rebbe Akiva fasted. That's what we have to do. Our whole life is built on to help the other person. Be mechazik him, look after him, think about him, go into his feet, do something for him. Not only think about ourselves, think about the other person. How can we help him? How can we mechazik him? How can we look after him? Look after his child, look after his baby, be a babysitter. Reb Levi Yisrael be Baditchev Yedua. He went to the shul. He went to the shul to be of saying, Kol Nidrei, heard a baby crying. And he took the cradle and he shook it until the baby stopped crying. Why? Because the mother went to the shul to hear Reb Levi Yisrael be Baditchev to say Kol Nidrei. Everyone came to shul, and the Rebbe didn't come. He was busy moving the cradle that the child would be quiet. That's what we have to do. Our whole life is built on chesed. We do chesed to the other person. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will do chesed to us. And we'll all be zoicha to Yeshua's gedolos, simchas, and siyata d'shmaya, and chaim toivim aruchim b'lasholim.